Well bowled, really well bowled. It was all about the flight. The first delivery was a good one as well. And Sepe completely missing it.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new series called The Future Young Stars. My name is Nathan and today I'm joined by someone you may be pretty familiar with if you watch the WBBL. Her name is Ella Hayward. Recently she's been in the media for her pretty outstanding performances with the Melbourne Renegades as well as Victoria in the WNCL. Welcome Ella, tell us a bit about yourself, your passion for cricket and what you're doing at the moment.
Awesome, thanks for having me, Nathan. So currently just playing cricket at the moment. So playing a lot of club cricket right now. There's no current WNCL fixed fit games. Playing a lot of club cricket. Got another year of WNCL next year. So got a couple of games coming up soon. And then after that, we'll go into the off season. Just kind of focusing on match play, training, putting performances out on the park. Focusing a bit on my batting and my bowling, so able to do both, which is awesome. So so far so good.
Well, I mean, obviously you've had a passion for cricket for a while. For people who don't know, we went to school together, so obviously I've sort of seen you go through those ranks and you've always been very good from a young age. Tell me about that passion for cricket you've had, that drive you've had through the ranks to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, I played it for fun, obviously, very early on. I was probably 9 or 10 when I started, but then at around about 12, I actually got picked for my first Victorian state side, and then from there, I kind of saw that there was actually a pathway for women's cricket. So that was really good to see, and then it kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and so I started going through the underage pathway, and I got to about the under 18s, and then I kind of really had a drive and a passion to play at a higher level. So I've just been lucky enough to achieve my goals, but it's been a fun journey, and I've always kind of had that passion and desire from under 15s, under 18s.
Well, I mean, in terms of your development, did you know from a younger age you would reach that top level as soon as you did? Because you did reach it at quite a young age.
Yeah, I think early on it was a goal, but I didn't actually see it happening at quite young. But then I did have a pretty good year at the under 15s at my last year, and then a good year again at the under 18s. And then I kind of saw the possibilities with actually performing well and seeing some of my other teammates from those teams get picked for things as well. So it did kind of open my eyes a little bit, and I thought I had a chance of actually getting somewhere, which was nice.
Well, in terms of that Renegades opportunity, how did that come about? And I mean, tell us about that sort of when it happened, what it was like, that sort of feeling of getting there, well, pretty much at that highest level. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling actually. I got to hang around them a little bit a couple of years before my first contract, which was amazing, and I got to meet a few of the girls and train with a few of them. So that was awesome. But then I actually got my first contract, and it was an amazing feeling. I didn't expect really to play many games or anything like that. I was just kind of excited to learn and see how I went. But we had a fair few injuries that year, and it was in Sydney where we had to be in the hub. So I then got to play I think 8 games, the last 8 games, and bowled most games. So it was an amazing opportunity and experience, and I learned so much from it. So I was very lucky.
Well, obviously you went into that hub in year 11 and 12, sort of balancing the two. Tell us about that mix of the schooling life and cricketing life, because obviously the women's season starts a little earlier during the school year. So tell us about the challenges and also what was nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of was lucky it was in the hub because I did have a bit of free time to focus on school. I think that, and having pretty flexible teachers, like, because they knew my situation. So kind of having both of those things, it made it pretty easy. But it obviously playing lots of cricket, it can also be hard to sit down and do schoolwork. So it's just
Yeah.
finding the balance. But I found it pretty quickly, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I was lucky.
Well, on some quick fire questions. Obviously, you are playing for the Renegades at the moment. Played 2 seasons so far. A couple little questions. Who's the favourite teammate you've played with so far? I'm going to give you domestic and international teammate.
Internationally, I would have to go with Harmanpreet Kaur. I think more just from a cricket standpoint. I think watching her play it was the most amazing thing. I think watching her bat and do her thing, and just her passion and drive for the game is yeah, amazing. So that was amazing to watch. And then domestically, I've got 2 in mind, I think. I think one's definitely Sophie Molyneux. I definitely grew up idolizing her, and she was a big role model for me when I was quite young. So to actually play under her captaincy and play with her has been an amazing experience. But also, Poppy Gardner has been a lot of fun to play with. We've become really close friends, and yeah, getting to be in the same team as her has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, both of those girls, well, most of those all had really good seasons. Core obviously had a pretty massive breakthrough season, so it was fun to watch from a spectator point of view. And Sophie Molyneux, obviously, she's been doing her thing for quite a while now.
Yeah.
On to your favourite cricketing moment. I mean, across juniors, seniors. I'll ask you for a junior and a more WBBL answer.
Juniors, I would have to say my favorite would be, oh, that's a tough one in juniors. Probably making 84 one innings for the big team. It was like my first like big score for them. I think it was in my second year. Kind of had like an okay tournament up until that innings, and it was the last innings, and yeah, made a good score, and we won very comfortably that game. So probably that in juniors. Seniors, it would probably have to be, it's a tie, but I mean, either the 4 for 16 in the Big Bash against the Stars, or getting Meg Lanning out, first ball of my spell. One of them two, I would have to say.
They're two pretty big, two pretty big
Yeah,
stats, I got to say. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, you've obviously played at a lot of different grounds now with all these hubs. Favorite
yeah.
one you've played at so far?
Yeah, definitely Adelaide Oval. I think I mean, I know we didn't do very well at the semi-final that we played there, but it's still just an amazing ground, amazing atmosphere, great wicket, great outfield. Yeah, I loved playing on that ground.
Well, I mean, on to the sort of the Renegades, your stats, you've played 19 games so far, so you're still quite young into that competition. Obviously, like you mentioned, best bowling stats, 4 for 16. So you are performing pretty well for your age, like much better than what kids your age should be performing, and that's just across all sports. So it's with an economy rate of 6.9. So very, very good bowling stats. Batting, you sort of haven't really got to have much of a bat so far, but I'm sure that's
Yeah.
going to come as age comes, improve. I mean, are you looking to get higher up the order with your batting?
Yeah, definitely at some point. I think I still take my batting very seriously, and at club cricket I bat 4, and yeah, I definitely love batting, so just gonna try and slowly work my way up if I can.
Well, on that Renegades season this year, obviously it was a disappointing end after quite a strong normal season. Just tell us about that season in general, that team. Obviously it had to perform very strongly each week. So just tell us about that run and what that meant to you.
Yeah, it was completely different from our first year. I think we played very, very well, especially in those first few games. Um, but I think a big part of it was we like genuinely were a team. I think we all there was a lot of camaraderie, and we all actually liked hanging around each other and doing different things, and making the most of traveling around in the places we got to go to. So that was a lot of fun, and we all made a lot of different friendships, and we all got along. So I think that really helped us. And yeah, we got onto a bit of a hot streak. I think we had a lot of good performance and a lot of different individual performances and team performances. So I thought we did really well. And um, yeah, just probably didn't go our way in the semi-final. I think a few things just didn't go our way, and that happens sometimes. So, yeah, it was still a good tournament to be a part of, and to actually make finals was really good compared to obviously that first year I played.
Well, in terms of your personality on the cricket pitch, what do you like around the group? How have you at least developed your character, especially moving into such a professional environment? What have the people around you taught you, and what have you learned, and how do you convey yourself on the pitch?
Yeah, I think from a personal perspective, I can be a bit quiet sometimes. So I think just still providing some form of energy in the field, or presence when I'm actually playing. So when I'm bowling, actually providing a bit of presence and energy and intent to actually help out the team. And I think yeah, same with batting, just always looking for intent anytime I do go out there with the bat. And then kind of off the field, yeah, just kind of having my conversations with people, and having different interactions, and having a lot of fun along the way. So yeah, definitely just putting presence out there when I can.
Well, who's probably been the most influential for you in that Renegades lineup, or even Vic, who's been the most influential?
Vic wise, obviously I think all the Aussie girls are pretty influential. I think the way they go about their cricket is very inspiring. I think they're all very like their work ethic, I think is second to none. So to actually be around that and learn off them, and actually watch them go about their business, that's not just skill wise, I think is always good to learn off, and see different things. And similar with Renegades, obviously all the internationals and Soph and all those higher end players, they all have their own way of going about things. Some people, train as much as they can. Other people kind of just rest and do what's best for them. So it's good learning off them and kind of figuring out your own way of preparation and going about things.
Well, I mean, on to obviously next season, what are the goals for the Renegade squad? I mean, obviously, you don't know which ones are going to stay and which ones are going to be there, but what is the general goal that at least was left at the end of last season to move on with?
Yeah, I think it's definitely just to improve each year. I think we had a really good side, and whether we have a completely different side or a similar side, I think the goals will be the same, and that's to want to win every game and actually just play with aggression and intent, and then ideally make finals. I think that's the big thing, and then to hopefully put a bit better of a performance out there than last time. But yeah, I think it's just a finals is like the pinnacle, I think. So if you can work really hard and get there, then the rest you just play like normal and see what happens.
Well, I mean, tactically, I mean, I'm not too sure of this, but how much tactics wise, how much work goes into that pre-game? What do you do to improve your game before you go out and bowl, even bat? Like, how much research do you do on these teams before you go out?
Yeah, so sometimes we had meetings where we actually talk about kind of the other team's batters, or very rarely we had batting meetings. So it was more kind of from a bowling point of view, which was helpful for me because obviously I was more bowling. So there's a lot of um, ways to seek out footage of batters and different teams and things like that. So you can kind of look at that and kind of go through your fields and things like that. For me, I kind of just like to have a general idea of maybe the fields I'm going in with the next day, whether it's I'm bowling in the power play or not. And once I've kind of got that covered, I kind of just bowl the way I like to bowl. And if I need to adjust on the day, I adjust. But yeah, we definitely have those conversations about our strengths, weaknesses, um, and yeah, so then you kind of have a base plan and then some backup plans as well.
Yeah, no, well, it's interesting from a professional point of view, that work that goes in, because obviously it's sort of the inner sanctum of that cricket world. So obviously not a lot of us know what goes into it. But
Yeah,
it is, yeah, very interesting to see that standard on the field, that it is very prepared, and it's like very influential for a young player to sort of go, grow up with that influence. So it is pretty cool to see as well, these like young players like yourself get up and eventually work to that rank. On to
yeah.
now First Nations influence. Obviously, you have Aboriginal influence. I want you to speak about this and tell me about what you want to tell me about, because I'm happy for you to express yourself. And obviously, I'll ask you a couple of questions, but just tell me about that Aboriginal influence, what it means to you, the way you play your game, what it just means for the game of cricket itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's yeah, it's obviously having a bit more of an impact in cricket being First Nations, and I think we're trying to get a lot of um influence and just get conversations going. I think the amount of media that's going around Indigenous culture and cricket's really good. I think having First Nations rounds and jerseys and different designs that represent different cultures, I think is really important, and I think it definitely starts a conversation and it definitely brings traction to it. And it means a lot as an Indigenous player to be playing cricket professionally and um, to have the media behind us and to get our stories out and kind of yeah, just talk about it. Obviously, being a part of the First Nations round and actually getting to play was a really awesome feeling, and to put on the jersey, it meant a lot, definitely. And the lead up to it, all the different articles and things like that, it was good to be a part of and kind of talk about. So yeah, it's a really humble feeling, and it's good to be a role model for other young Indigenous players to know that you can be Indigenous and achieve anything. So it's a really good feeling.
Well, yeah, definitely. But in terms of like even your team culture, did that improve? Did that feeling of connectivity, like learning about each other, help in terms of your gameplay and just your personalities, everyone's personalities on the pitch?
Yeah, definitely. I think it helps us understand each other a little bit more, and we definitely were able to kind of connect and talk about different things and yeah, connect with each other a little bit more. I definitely feel like, we all felt like we're playing for something, and to have a lot of support, girls who are eager to ask questions and learn about the round and our jerseys and what they mean and things like that. It definitely brought us closer as a club and as a unit, because it shows like our care and connection and for each other. So it definitely brought us a lot closer, and it was definitely a great round to be a part of, and it definitely was a really good feeling for all of us.
Well, in terms of the First Nations round, I asked this to you, do you feel like sport in Australia is getting it right with the introduction of First Nations round? Just in general, is it being presenting the way it should be, in your opinion?
I think it definitely is. Obviously, I feel like there's still ways that we can make further improvements. I think there's always room for improvement. We can always add further things and all that 100%. But I feel like including a lot of the barefoot circles, the jerseys, because I think that's actually a really important one, because some people may not know that it's a First Nations round, but you see two teams playing with different jerseys with all different designs on them, and people ask the question. So I think especially in cricket, they've done a really good job, and obviously in other sports I'm sure there's obviously definitely a long way to go in certain aspects, but I definitely think we're on the right track, and we're on the right path to where we need to be.
Well, no, it's awesome to see that it is progressing. It's awesome to see more of the media publication surrounding the round. I think in previous years, it's just been sort of labelled as Indigenous round and moved on. But I think there's been more of a standpoint on it, more of an importance. So it's great to see people like yourself, an ambassador for the First Nations round, promoting it, promoting the cultures, and it is sort of connecting a lot more people towards the sport of cricket and in sports in general across Australia.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
terms, moving on to your career, first question I want to ask you, in terms of your levels of performance, how do you keep them at high standards to obviously improve as years go on?
Yeah, I think it's just about improving. I think for me, I've made different improvements on my batting and my bowling. So it's just kind of like adapting to each format I play and being able to actually like perform. I think at a junior level, it's easy to kind of have potential and perform a little bit have a little bit less consistency. But I think as you get older and the further you go, there's a little bit more emphasis on consistency and performances. So just kind of improving on that aspect and being able to actually make an impact on the teams I'm playing in, to keep progressing forward.
Well, in terms of your goals for the future, as much as it sounds probably obvious to a lot of people, listen, run me through what the eventual goal is. I know there's short-term and long-term goals. Run me through what they are, what you intend to do to get to that level, whether it's in a short or long period of time.
Yeah, so long term is definitely to play for Australia one day if I can. That's obviously been a goal for a very long time. I think from when I was quite young, watching them play. But yeah, obviously that's a big goal and it's a possibility for sure. But yeah, it's definitely going to take a lot more work to get there. But I guess that's where kind of short-term goals come into play, which is just performing at WNCL and at the BBL, improving each year. And if I can make a bit more contribution and take a few more wickets and start to make my way up the orders in both teams, that would be a really good goal to achieve and to actually be seen as a bit more of a batter in those teams. So yeah, just kind of using the short-term goals to help me get to the long term.
Well, in terms of advice for younger kids who are looking to get to your level, boys and girls,
Yeah.
what's your advice to get your name recognised, to have a chance to stand out amongst a pretty competitive sport where there isn't a lot of leadways into the professional level? What would your advice be to those kids?
Yeah, I definitely think that actually I think performance is a big thing. I think if you can enjoy your cricket and not take it too seriously early on. I think if you actually just enjoy cricket for what it is, you'll find your talent and your performances. It'll happen quite naturally, and then from there, when you do start to get your name a little bit more recognized and you start to do programs and pathways, that's where you can start to take it a little bit more seriously and just try and not overdo it, but work hard. I think that's a big thing. I think from a young age, if you can show your work ethic and that you're willing to listen to coaches and actually work hard, then that's a really big thing, especially in a young player. Um, so yeah, definitely would be the main thing for me.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you, Ella, for your time. For anyone, obviously it's off season for WBBL, but you make sure when it comes back around next year to turn on Channel 7 and have a watch of the Renegades. Ella will definitely be out there, either batting or bowling. Thank you again, Ella, for your time. Really appreciate hearing about your story, your journey so far. And well, I wish you the best for the future.
Thank
That's
you.
all
Thanks for
from
having
me.
me.
No worries. Well, thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe for more. I will leave Ella's socials down below. But until then, we'll see you later.